There's a hum beneath everything you're experiencing right now. A vibration so fundamental that it's arranging the molecules of your tomorrow while you sit here today. Most people spend their entire lives trying to change their circumstances through force, through strategy, through relentless doing. They're rearranging furniture in a house built on the wrong foundation. Reality doesn't respond to your effort. It responds to your frequency. Not the frequency you perform, not the frequency you fake during morning affirmations while your actual inner state broadcasts something entirely different. The frequency you are. The steady hum of consciousness that runs beneath your thoughts, beneath your words, beneath even your emotions. Your frequency is not what you think about. It's what you think from. Let me show you what this means. Imagine two people saying the exact same affirmation. I am wealthy. One person speaks these words while their inner frequency broadcasts lack. Their energy is tight, grasping, desperate to convince themselves and the universe of something they don't actually believe. The other person speaks from a frequency of abundance already existing within them. Same words, completely different transmission, opposite results. The universe doesn't hear your words. It reads your signal. And your signal has been building layer by layer, thought by thought, belief by belief, since before you could even speak. This is why positive thinking alone fails most people. They're trying to paint over a frequency, when what's required is fundamental reconstruction. This is the word. Not the words you speak, but the vibrational truth you're declaring from the depths of your being. You combine with what you notice. Every moment, your frequency is tuning itself to match what you're internally merged with. When you're merged with limitation, your frequency broadcasts limitation. When you're merged with infinite possibility, your frequency becomes a magnet for miracles. The question isn't whether you're broadcasting a frequency. You already are. The question is, what station are you tuned to? Your outer world is not happening to you. It's happening from you. Every circumstance, person, opportunity, or obstacle in your life is matching a frequency you've been broadcasting, often unconsciously, for months or years. People hear this and immediately spiral into self-blame. So my illness is my fault? My financial struggle? My heartbreak? No, that's not the teaching. That's ego trying to maintain control through a different strategy. You didn't consciously choose most of your frequency. You inherited it. You absorbed it. You picked it up from your family, your culture, your early experiences of pain or safety. Your current frequency is like an old radio that's been stuck on the same station so long you forgot it could be adjusted. You've been broadcasting a signal you didn't choose, getting results that match it, then believing those results prove something true about reality. They don't prove anything about reality. They prove something about your frequency. The breakthrough comes when you realize, if you didn't consciously choose this frequency, you can consciously change it. Through precise, intentional frequency adjustment that rewrites the invisible code running your life. Think of radio waves, invisible transmissions moving through space, carrying information and sound. You can't see these waves, but you can tune into them and receive their transmission. Your consciousness works the same way. There are infinite frequencies available at this exact moment. The frequency of abundance, the frequency of perfect health, the frequency of divine love, the frequency of creative breakthrough. They're already here, already broadcasting. You're not creating them, you're tuning into them. But here's the key. You can only receive a transmission you match. A radio tuned to 98.5 FM will never play what's broadcasting on 101.3. Your consciousness, tuned to lack and struggle, will never receive the abundance that's streaming on a completely different frequency. So the work isn't manifestation. The work is frequency adjustment, becoming a match for what already exists in the invisible realm, waiting for your conscious alignment. Don't mistake this for abstract philosophy. This is practical technique. Here is the exact process for rebuilding your frequency from the ground up. First, you must catch yourself in the act of broadcasting the old frequency. Most people are completely unconscious of their habitual signal. They think they're thinking about their problems. They don't realize their problems are generated by what they're thinking from. Throughout your day, start noticing, what frequency am I tuned to right now? Not, what am I thinking about? What am I thinking from? Is it fear or faith? Lack or supply? Powerlessness or divine authority? True awareness begins shifting your frequency. You can't change what you don't see. Second, identify the exact moment your frequency drops. There's always a trigger. A bill arrives. Someone doesn't text back. You look at your bank account. Your body feels off. Something happens in the external world, and instantly, before you even have a conscious thought about it, your frequency drops into an old familiar pattern. Fear, unworthiness, scarcity, control. These drops are your gold. They show you exactly where your frequency needs reconstruction. These moments are divine intelligence, revealing what's ready to be healed. Don't run from them. Track them. When does your frequency collapse? What situations expose the weak points in your energetic foundation? Third, and this is where most people miss it entirely, you don't raise your frequency by trying to feel better. You raise it by choosing a different transmission to merge with, regardless of how you feel. This is the precision that spiritual work requires. Consciously align with the frequency of truth, even when your circumstances scream the opposite. When you notice your frequency has dropped into lack, you don't fight the feeling of lack. You don't try to convince yourself you're abundant when every cell in your body is broadcasting scarcity. Instead, you make a precise, intentional choice. I am now tuning into the frequency of infinite supply. You're not trying to believe it. You're not generating good feelings. You're adjusting your dial. You're choosing which transmission to merge with. Now, speak this truth. I am consciously aligned with the frequency of my highest reality. What I tune into, I become. The shift is subtle but revolutionary. You're not trying to change your circumstances through force of will. You're changing the frequency that's magnetizing those circumstances. And when your frequency changes, your reality has no choice but to rearrange itself to match. Before we continue, do this. In the comments below, write exactly these words: I am the frequency of divine abundance. This written declaration does something crucial. It creates a witness to your frequency choice. As we go deeper into how observation creates reality, you'll understand why having a physical record of your declared frequency matters. Every time someone else reads your declaration, they become part of the energy field supporting your chosen frequency. Your written words don't just state your frequency, they broadcast it into a network of collective consciousness that magnifies its power. In essence, you're activating multiple dimensions of manifestation simultaneously. Now let's go deeper into how these principles actually work in the invisible realm, where all reality is first constructed. Observation changes outcome, but it goes further than that. The quality of your observation, the frequency you're observing from, determines what you can observe. You literally cannot see opportunities that exist outside your current frequency band. They're there, they're real, they're available, but they're invisible to you because you're tuned to a different station. This explains why two people can walk through the exact same situation and have completely opposite experiences. One person sees obstacles everywhere, the other sees possibility, same external reality. Different frequencies of observation. And what you observe, you magnetize. What you notice, you combine with. Think about someone who's tuned to the frequency of rejection. They walk into a room, and their consciousness immediately scans for evidence of rejection. Someone doesn't smile back. Rejection. Someone ends the conversation quickly. Rejection. Someone doesn't invite them to lunch. Rejection. They find what they're tuned to find. And in finding it, they broadcast an even stronger rejection frequency, which magnetizes more experiences of rejection. The circumstances aren't creating the frequency is creating the circumstances. But you can be in the exact same external situation and completely change your experience by shifting your frequency. This is about consciously choosing which aspect of infinite reality you're going to tune into and merge with. Let me give you a specific example. Say you're facing a financial challenge. Your bank account is low. Bills are coming. The external facts are what they are. Now, most people in this situation tune their frequency to lack. They observe the situation from lack. They think from lack. They speak from lack. They make decisions from lack. And their frequency of lack ensures they stay locked into experiences of lack. But what if you made a different choice? What if you looked at the exact same situation and said, I'm tuning into the frequency of infinite supply right now. Regardless of what my bank account shows, there is an unlimited stream of abundance available to me in the invisible realm. I'm not trying to convince myself I have money I don't have. I'm aligning with the frequency of supply that exists independent of my current circumstances. You sit with that frequency. You breathe it. You let it become your background hum. And you start noticing something remarkable. Ideas come. Opportunities appear. People reach out. Money shows up in unexpected ways because you shifted your frequency and became a match for resources that were always there, waiting for your alignment. Your frequency isn't set once and maintained forever. It requires daily, moment-by-moment calibration. Catching yourself dozens of times a day tuning into fear or limitation, then consciously resetting your frequency to faith and infinite possibility. Here's your daily practice, designed specifically for frequency reconstruction. Before you check your phone, before you think about your to-do list, before you engage with the external world at all, ask yourself, what frequency do I choose to broadcast today? What frequency do I want to be? The frequency of peace? The frequency of creative flow? The frequency of magnetic attraction? The frequency of divine timing? Choose one and set your internal dial. Set a reminder on your phone for once an hour. When it goes off, simply notice, what frequency am I broadcasting right now? You're not judging yourself. You're just observing. Am I in fear or faith? Contraction or expansion? Resistance or flow? The simple act of noticing begins to shift your frequency automatically. When something happens that drops your frequency, you have a 60-second window to recalibrate before the old frequency locks in. In that moment, don't try to fix the situation. Don't try to feel different. Simply state, I am returning to my chosen frequency now, and consciously tune back to the frequency you set that morning. This is where the real work happens. This is where you rebuild your energetic foundation. Before sleep, review your day not by what happened, but by what frequency you maintained. Where did you hold steady? Where did you drop? Where did you successfully recalibrate? You're training your consciousness to maintain a chosen frequency regardless of circumstances. This practice sounds simple. It is simple. But simple doesn't mean easy. Your entire nervous system has been trained to react to circumstances, to let external events dictate your internal frequency. This practice reverses that. You become the conscious broadcaster, choosing your frequency independent of what's happening around you. Now declare with certainty, I am the authority over my frequency. No circumstance, no person, no situation has the power to tune my dial without my conscious choice. The moment you start consciously shifting your frequency, everything in your life that's matched to your old frequency will rise up to challenge the change. Old thought patterns will intensify. Difficult circumstances may temporarily increase. People aligned with your old frequency may react negatively to your shift. This isn't failure. This is proof the work is working. This is the darkness before the dawn. Your outer world is catching up to your inner shift, and that transition period can feel chaotic. The old reality is falling apart because it can't exist at your new frequency. The new reality hasn't fully formed yet. You're in the gap. Most people panic in this gap. They see the chaos and think, this frequency work made everything worse. So they drop back to their old frequency, and the chaos subsides. Of course it does. They've just proven to the universe that they're not actually ready for the new frequency, so the universe stops the reconstruction process. But if you understand what's happening, if you recognize this resistance as proof of transformation, you hold your frequency steady. You don't need to fight the chaos. You don't need to fix everything that's falling apart. You just hold your frequency, and you watch as the pieces rearrange themselves into a completely new configuration that matches where you actually are. This is faith. Not faith that everything will work out. Faith that your frequency is creating your reality, and if you hold the frequency steady, the reality has no choice but to match it. Speaking the word, setting the frequency, then calmly watching as the entire external reality restructures itself to match the internal state. The key is, you must hold the frequency longer than the resistance lasts, and the resistance always breaks before a committed frequency does. There's one frequency that amplifies all others. It's the frequency of expectation, not hope, not wishing, not maybe this will work. Expectation. The absolute certainty that what you're tuned into must, by spiritual law, manifest in your reality. This is the faith of expectancy. Setting your frequency and then living in complete expectation that reality will match it. Not because you're trying to make something happen, but because you understand the law. Frequency creates matching reality. If you maintain the frequency, the matching reality is guaranteed. This expectation isn't mental. It's not something you think about. It's a deep, cellular knowing that sits in your body like solid ground. You've set your frequency. The law is in motion. The results are already done in the invisible realm. Now you simply go about your life in calm expectation of their visible manifestation. Think about ordering something online. You place the order, you get the confirmation, and then you simply expect it to arrive. You don't obsess over it. You don't check the tracking every 5 minutes. You don't doubt whether it's really coming. You just calmly expect its arrival because you understand how the system works. You place the order, the system confirmed it, therefore the delivery is guaranteed. Your frequency work operates the same way. You set your frequency, you feel the invisible confirmation that it's set, and then you calmly expect your reality to deliver the matching circumstances. This expectation is itself a frequency, and it's one of the most powerful frequencies you can broadcast. Here's what makes this practice truly powerful. Frequency compounds. Every moment you hold a chosen frequency, you're strengthening that frequency's signal. Every time you recalibrate after dropping, you're building your capacity to maintain higher frequencies. Every day you practice conscious broadcasting, you're rewriting the default frequency that runs when you're not paying attention. After 30 days of consistent frequency work, you'll notice something remarkable. The old frequencies become harder to access. Not because you're suppressing them, but because you've genuinely shifted your baseline. What used to be your automatic response, your default state, no longer feels like home. You've changed your home frequency. After 90 days, your external reality begins to show unmistakable evidence of the shift. New opportunities appear, old problems resolve themselves. Relationships either align with your new frequency or naturally fall away. Money flows differently. Your health responds. Your creativity explodes. Your frequency has changed, and reality is simply matching your new signal. After 6 months, you become unrecognizable to your former self. You look back at who you were before you understood frequency, and you can barely remember what that consciousness felt like. You've fundamentally rewired your relationship with reality. You're no longer at the mercy of circumstances. You're the conscious creator of your frequency, and therefore the architect of your experience. This is literal spiritual technology that works every single time it's applied correctly. The question is never whether it works. The question is, are you willing to do the work of consciously maintaining your frequency until reality has no choice but to match it? Everything comes down to this. You are not powerless. You have never been powerless. Every single moment, you're broadcasting a frequency that the universe reads as instruction for what to deliver to you. When you didn't understand this, you broadcasted unconsciously and got unconscious results. Now you know. And knowing changes everything. Your circumstances are not your frequency. Your past is not your frequency. Your current bank account, your current relationships, your current health, your current challenges, none of these things are your frequency. They're the results of your old frequency. And the moment you shift your frequency, you begin generating new results. This is why you can be in the middle of the most challenging situation of your life and still be broadcasting the frequency of victory. You can have every external indicator pointing toward lack and still be tuned to infinite abundance. You can be facing rejection and broadcasting the frequency of perfect love because your frequency is your choice. Always, in every moment. Nobody can set your frequency but you. No circumstance can force you onto a frequency you don't choose. Even in the hardest moments, even when everything in your external world is pushing you toward fear or despair or limitation, you have the sovereign power to set your own dial. This is your divine inheritance. This is the authority you were born with. So the question facing you right now is not whether you can shift your frequency. You absolutely can. The question is, will you? Will you take responsibility for the signal you're broadcasting? Will you catch yourself in moments of unconscious transmission and consciously recalibrate? Will you do the daily work of frequency maintenance that slowly, steadily rewrites your entire reality? Because if you will, if you commit to this practice with the seriousness it deserves, you'll discover reality is far more responsive than you ever imagined. The universe isn't withholding anything from you. It's simply waiting for you to tune to the frequency of what you're asking for. Speak this into your reality. Divine intelligence flows through my chosen frequency. I broadcast abundance, and abundance rushes to meet me. My signal is sovereign. Your frequency is building right now, in this very moment. What you do with this knowledge in the next hour, the next day, the next week, will determine what reality you're living in 6 months from now. Not your circumstances, not your effort, your frequency. The universe is listening. What signal will you be sending?